Hello everyone, and welcome to Straight Chilling. Each week we watch and review a horror film for your entertainment. You can send all questions and comments to straightchillingpodcast@gmail.com, and don't forget to keep chilling.
Yeah, we straight chillin', serial killing. 5 cold feelings on the mind, got you reeling. 5-star ratings from the floor to the ceiling. If you get your 1 star, no time for feelings. Got a demon DJ, all the 1s and 2s. By the name Elzebub, so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast them all in 2. And prepare to hear the legend of the Straight Chillin' crew.
What up, nerds, and welcome to another nightmarish episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name's Bob, and I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode number 276, recorded on Sunday, July 19th, 2020. Tonight we're going to be talking about a movie called Deathbed, The Bed That Eats, from 1977. This was a Patreon pick, and it was chosen by the lovely Michael. Thanks for showing us the love and support, Michael, even though you pick terrible, awful movies for us to talk about. Before we get into the review, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from the northern region of California, we got our boy Randy Gandy G. Landy. What's up, man?
What's up, baby? How's it going?
I like it when you call me baby. And
I know
Big
you
Papa. Big Papa.
Okay.
Last but not least, we got our boy Soju calling in from the Southern Korea. What's up, man?
What up? It's a Shabby Sojuice coming back with the classic, boys.
Couldn't think of a bed-related pun, huh?
I wasn't gonna dignify with a special soju intro.
Bed
so I just went with a
stains.
classic.
I mean, death
Bedside stains.
Bed stain seems pretty on the nose to me.
Then you guys just
Sheet
bitch
stain.
about how lazy it is. Oh, well, what are we gonna do? Aliens day?
Well, whatever bitching whatever.
Today? What are we gonna do today? Oh, what are we gonna
I don't
do?
even know what you're bitching about. I don't even.
Yeah.
You lost me.
You think we're bitching? We would bitch about you coming up with an easy pun. Imagine us bitching about you not coming up with anything, which is what's happening.
You lost me.
Just imagine.
You lost me, guy. I can only imagine. Yeah, before we talk about this fucking movie, let's tackle a little bit of housekeeping real quick. Here's another reminder for you. Our August poll pick is currently posted on our Patreon website. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're talking about this August. The theme for the August poll pick is VHS. The 3 movies you can vote between are going to be Ring U, VHS 2, and Terror Vision.
Bomb?
Juice.
How are those numbers looking? Are you still losing?
Yeah, I'm still losing. VHS 2 is killing it. Ring U and Terror Vision are still both tied, but also like kind of up there. I feel like there's still quite a few people left to vote. So technically anything could win, but right now VHS 2 is way out there. Terror Vision, people, vote for Terror Vision because it rules.
Oh
my God.
Nope.
It's a banger.
Drop it. You always pick TerraVision and you always
Always. No matter what the theme, I just pick Terror Vision.
For the past 2 years.
We're going to do a new poll pick in next month, and it's going to be TerrorVision versus nothing, so that Rob can feel real good.
This is the TerraVision poll pick. You can pick TerraVision, you sons of bitches.
You can pick TerraVision, or you can go fuck yourself.
This is Iron
And
Fist
people
and
will
Bob.
inevitably vote.
Over and out.
Or you can be iron fisted by Bob.
Which we all want that. That's pretty much all we got going on with Patreon. Just make sure you get your votes in before the end of the month. Juice, you got any news?
I did record a new bonus episode, which should be dropping sometime this week. So if you sign up on the hard with this level on Patreon, which is the $10 level, you can get some bonus episodes. I did one on the Netflix Unsolved Mysteries. That'll be dropping this week. And I am working on another one for the Netflix series, the Ju-on, the Japanese like haunted
The Grudge series.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Grudge.
The Grunge series.
The Grudge. The Grudge series, about the early 90s.
About early 90s Seattle and the ghost girls that crawl through your attics.
The remake is set in Seattle, isn't it? I think it is.
Oh,
maybe. I don't know.
I really need like a riff tracks where they just build every joke off of grunge music.
Yeah, so I did that. At this point, I feel like that tier on Patreon is coming close to doubling what we're doing on the regular cast. So we're getting quite a deal there.
Yeah, we're almost up to I think 20 bonus episodes on there. So there's a lot of shit over on Patreon. Yeah.
Rob normally covers the like new horror releases. I typically cover the like series, like shows, and Randy doesn't do shit. So
yep,
that's accurate. Yeah.
Everybody bet your
also.
I do something called living my fucking life.
Nobody wants to hear about that, Randy.
Me neither.
Also, coming down the pipe this week is finally rounding out the BioShock trilogy with a brand new video game review. That's going to be for BioShock Infinite. And I know if you care about this podcast in any way, if you really, really care, then I know you're
really just hold the emotional gun to head here.
I know you're heading over to YouTube.com.
Disappoint Poppy Stains
/Straight Chilling Podcast, liking, subscribing, and commenting so people can find us on YouTube. Yeah. And that's all my house.
Really being a father Comstock about this whole thing, I would say.
Oh, Poppy Stains. What a nightmare. What a nightmare.
If you want to please me, then you know what to do.
And Lord knows there's not an option besides wanting to please you. That's the only option that makes sense.
Weird.
Old Diddy Stains is coming up these days.
Shit's getting weird. Well, that's all we got for the housekeeping this week. Let's go ahead and jump into the main event. We're talking about Deathbed, the bed that eats, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
You got this box, right?
Please tell me you got this box.
No, I did not buy this movie. It is on it's on DVD and Blu-ray, so it is out there for you to purchase, but it's also on YouTube for free. So I just went
for free 50
the YouTube route there.
And Tubi. I watched it on Tubi.
And Tubi, yeah. So it's easy to come by. All right. Deathbed from 1977, written and directed by George Barry. It's starring Damien Hall, William Russ, Julie Ritter, a few other folks. Plot synopsis is as follows. A bed, possessed by a demon spirit, consumes its users alive. Short and sweet.
Yes.
The soft, sweet crunching sound of the bed eating.
This bed has no teeth, but munches and yawns and weeps.
That's a good
great.
point about the munching.
We haven't gotten there yet, but I really feel like we needed to open up in the spirit of this movie, which that was the first full minute of the movie.
That's the way the movie starts. Gentlemen, had you seen this movie before, and would you recommend people check it out? Randy, kick us off.
Ah, yes, I remember every Christmas day, me and the family would gather around the glowing satellite television to watch the deathbed munch upon its unsuspecting prey. No, I've never seen this fucking thing. It's new. It's new to me. And recommend it? No, I wouldn't. That's all.
Thank you. Juice, what about you?
I had never seen this movie before, and actually, I think this was picked to torture us, but I think that was a mistake because I watched this alone with the slightest of buzzes. I wasn't drunk, and I had a pretty good time with this movie in the sense that I feel, as far as recommendations go, this movie has a perfect place in if you like to watch bad movies. I think this one is actually a really good one to recommend to watch because it's actually pretty funny. It is called Deathbed, the bed that eats, but it doesn't take itself seriously in the film. So it's got some pretty like wacky things going on that were entertaining, and it's not even 90 minutes. It's like
very short.
75 minutes. It's super short.
Yeah.
So I got through it alone with the Slice Buzz and didn't mind it. And so I think this is the perfect movie to watch if you like to watch bad movies with your friends. I wish I had some friends.
You only have subjects.
Right. Please me. Please the stains.
Trying on an iron fist of your own over there.
Trying.
Bob,
had you seen Deathbed before?
Had you seen it?
Had I seen it?
Had you seen it?
Never seen this one before. First time for me. Would I recommend people check it out? Yeah, I would. But like Justin said, it's really bad. Super, super bad. It's like riff tracks material. So
riff tracks does like shit like The Matrix or whatever, and this ain't The Matrix.
Well,
so,
yeah,
I would say maybe early Mystery Science level.
Yeah. So I don't know, if you're in the mood for a movie like that, watch this. You can definitely make fun of it with some friends pretty easily, and it doesn't take itself seriously. It's definitely got some jokes, even some jokes that land, I might venture to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think the biggest joke of all is that the joke is on Michael for trying to pick a shitty movie, and he just fucking failed. So sorry about your luck, Michael, because this is a 5-star movie.
God, that whole situation is just going to blow up in our face if we start like bragging about challenging. This isn't bad. He's going to send us like a 90-minute shot of just like a festering corpse or some shit.
Sweet. Damn. Yeah. But yeah, I would recommend it. Light recommend. It's a bad movie for sure, but yeah, I would recommend it. So let's go ahead and get into the rest of the movie. We're going to drop that spoiler warning. Here we go.
Spoiler warning.
All right.
So there's bed that eats people. It eats them real good.
Eats the shit out of
them. Well, he doesn't just eat people. This movie is called The Bed That Eats, and that is, at first I was like, okay, yeah, but it eats people. That's the implication. And it does, but it's all about the
implication.
Everything.
It's all
because of the implication.
What actually happens first is this thing eats a full picnic.
Bob typed it up. Yeah. Bob typed it up.
Oh shit! Yeah,
he's got to do his new little segment.
I got the plot typed out.
He wants
just a little mini segment for Bibby.
It's wild, and I would really like to read it.
Go for it.
You
Bob.
do this.
Thank you.
We'll entertain you.
Please entertain me. All right, here we go. So the movie opens up with a dude who is cursed to live in the wall behind a painting of the titular deathbed.
Skip to the end.
That he himself painted. That's where we start. Yep. So he pretty much narrates the rest of the movie from there on out. He's forced to look upon the deathbed as the deathbed eats thousands of people. A couple have a romantic getaway and try to bang on the mysterious deathbed, but they get eaten, which brings us to the title card, followed by several newspaper headlines about, thousands of people going missing, and then the mayor calling for action, and then the mayor then going missing, which is absurd. The mansion at which the deathbed dwells used to be owned by a gangster who went missing, and one of our main characters, Diane, is a good friend of the gangster's lawyer who said she was able to just crash at this mansion with a couple friends while she's handling the litigation for the gangster who went missing. So Diane shows up to the mansion with two friends, Susan and Sharon, and they're hanging out having a little vacay. The bed apparently is afraid of Susan, and we don't really know why. Sharon ends up taking a nap on the bed while the rest of her friends are out, and she immediately gets killed. The bed uses her necklace to decapitate her. We then get a montage of the bed killing a bunch of people. Amongst the killings, we see the man behind the painting who was dying of consumption, and he's laying on the deathbed. He decides to paint a portrait of his deathbed. So he does that, and then the deathbed consumes him, and then resurrects him, and then banishes him to live within the walls behind his painting. Then we get the origins of the deathbed itself. There was apparently a tree demon that turns into wind that blows around this girl, and then the demon decides to build a bed to seduce the girl on. So he does that, and then turns into a human, but his eyes are all filled with blood, because when demons turn into humans, their eyes are just filled with blood, according to this movie. They then bang on the deathbed, but the girl dies, because you die when you bang a demon, I guess. The demon's sad about it, and then cries tears of blood on the bed. And his bloody tears brings the bed to life. And then the demon just like fucks off.
Quite ironic.
The demon fucks off and finds another tree to live in, so the demon's gone. And then we also find out that the tree demon sleeps once every 10 years, and when he sleeps, he finds the bed in the bed's nightmares and takes most of the bed's power from the bed, allowing the man behind the painting to then speak beyond the painting, which comes into play later. We find the bed is afraid of Susan because her eyes resemble the girl who was banged to death on it, resembles her eyes. So they have similar eyes, I guess. So now the bed is like aware of why it's afraid of Susan. It can eat Susan, no problem.
Oh, this is becoming the prophecy.
I'm almost done.
Yeah, we're entertaining you, but only for so long.
I'm almost done. So Diane takes a nap on the bed. She has weird dreams. She then gets half-eaten, crawls to the stairs, and then gets pulled back to the bed by sheets and then finished off. Sharon's brother, who's been searching for her the entirety of the movie, finally finds her. He tries to cut Diane out of the bed, but his hands get melted off. The demon finally goes to sleep, and now the painting man is able to speak beyond his painting. He tells him to go build a circle of wood outside and then cut a circle around the cement in the bed, which
Skip to the end.
which like, you know, the cement bleeds when they cut into it for some reason. And then she like joins her brother's burnt up hands, and then that sort of like combines the two circles or connects the two circles that she's created. And then Sharon has to sacrifice her body to the girl that was banged to death on the bed in the story. And then that ghost girl then bangs Sharon's brother on the bed, and then the bed bursts into flames, and that's pretty much the end of the deathbed. So you guys got all that? Great.
Be prepared to be bedazzled.
I'm bedazzled.
Right.
Yep. So we really covered the entirety of that ritual, I see.
Yeah, good Lord, Bob. Come on now. You're getting a little too cocky with these write-ups.
I mean, I had to like spell
You
it
couldn't
out.
have said ritual. You couldn't have just said demon, Bob.
Well, now that we're all on the same page, we can talk about
Oh, yeah.
the different
okay.
steps.
Now that you've set the
Different-
stage.
Oh my God. But yeah, so this, the bed definitely eats an entire bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Dude, that's how this movie starts.
Yes. They set,
And
oh my God, dude.
I
That
love
whole
that
scene.
shit.
That's one of my favorite parts is that whole
Yeah.
scene where like, okay, so we don't really get a lot of preamble except for a bunch of chewing sounds. And this couple, Frankie and somebody else, Frankie and Davey, not two males, but a hetero couple, walks towards this mansion, and they don't explain how they know about it or that it's empty or anything. They're just like, oh man, it's locked because the ghost bed or the demon bed decides to lock all the doors to the main house. And when they find where it's stored in some basement, I believe,
Which
or it's
didn't
a
make any
separate
sense.
quarters.
Yeah.
Why would the bed lock the mansion doors?
Because
it
I
wants
don't think
to
he's
eat people?
in the mansion. Mansion.
Mansion. He's not in
It's
the
a
mansion.
separate house.
Luigi's mansion.
Oh, okay, so he was kind of leading
like,
them
yeah.
to.
I think it's like a servant's quarter sort of
Yeah,
deal
something
that
like
it's
that.
in. It's like a basement, basically, or a cellar that's separate from the main house. So they find that door is open because the bed wants to feast. And we're told all of this outright by Painting Boy. The Painting Boy, there's actually nothing that happens in this movie that isn't fully explained in words by the painting. So, so these people go into the house, and then they bring along a little picnic, which is fine, and they set it on the bench. This is what was so funny to me. The guy's like, "Hey, it's pretty great, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's really nice. You are in a fucking cellar right now that just has a painting, a bed, and brick walls painted black. I don't think that this qualifies as nice under any circumstances." And so they sit their chicken bucket on the fucking bed and a couple of apples and a bottle of wine. And we see that shit sink into the bed through a bunch of foamy bullshit. And then it just drops, and the camera changes to this like yellow bile liquid, and the apple goes in and is bubbly, and then it comes back up as an apple core. So
like
it eats it like a
slowly
person would
floats
eat
back
it.
up. Yeah.
The acid eats it as if a person had chomped it with
in a
its teeth. With
perfect
its teeth.
mouth
Yes,
bite.
but this
yeah.
bed has no mouth.
Yeah.
But it didn't
reiterate.
consume the rest of the apple, and
Right,
then
no.
it eats
And
the chicken off the bone, but
Right.
puts the bone and the bucket back.
Yeah, keeps
as
it in
was.
the bucket and the bottle of wine. So it just shows the bottle of wine. Bloop, bloop.
And he's drinking.
And this fucking bed vocalizes more than anybody else in this movie. It doesn't have a line, but it makes more sounds than anybody. It's just like you hear it waking up and snoring. It's like, and shit like that, like fucking like a cartoon character. It's really bizarre. And the fact that it ate those things before it like closed its little 4-poster curtains, and then you hear screaming, assuming that people died as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, before it actually consumed the people that it wants to eat, it took its time to eat the chicken off the bone.
It immediately clarified why it's not called the bed that eats people.
Yeah. I like that shit though, because even the dialogue between the couple was funny, like because she was like kind of reluctant, and he was like, "Come on, babe," and then she's like, "I'm hungry," and he's like, "I got this bucket of fried chicken over here," but then it was gone. She's like, "I'm not hungry anyway."
Yeah,
he's like,
he was like, "Oh, I must have made a mistake. It's all gone." Like you would know.
I brought apple cores by mistake.
Chicken. Yeah, you would know.
I brought loose apple cores with me on accident.
I forgot.
This is just my trash chicken.
Yeah, but none of that matters, because as soon as she sees that it's just chicken bones in that bucket for no reason, she's like, "You know what?
I be smoking."
You know what?
Yeah, she's like, "Well, I guess we better bang. Let's do this."
Yeah,
I see this man doesn't respect me. I find him immediately a lot more attractive.
Oh, I see this man is too stupid to recognize an eaten apple from an uneaten apple. Sounds
I need
good.
him inside of me now.
Also, she was pretty hesitant to walk in there, and I'm like, this is with today's glasses, like, get the fuck out of there immediately, Davey. Come on, get the fuck out.
Yeah,
you don't need to be in an abandoned cellar with anybody.
Maybe he's a cooter. I don't know. We can revisit that later.
I know. Yeah, I mean, there's an argument.
Possibly. Yeah. Yeah, but
I don't know. This bed might be a cooter. Maybe I feel like everybody just picks things to pick the new cooter. That's the new hip thing.
Also,
what else could be a cooter? Lawn equipment? I don't know.
This movie is also broken up into chapters. So, like the movie starts with quote breakfast, and then there's a lunch and a dinner.
Yeah. And then dessert.
And then there's a fourth meal, right?
Dessert.
Fourth meal. Yeah, the fourth meal is
brought to you by Taco Bell.
Second breakfast, 11sies. Fourth meal,
supper, dinner,
third breakfast. So that's pretty much how breakfast goes. This couple and all the chicken gets eaten, and then we kind of get into lounge.
Can we talk about Painting Boy for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Just in general,
he's got like a deep British accent, right?
It sounds like a British old man.
Yeah.
He's the way this movie starts, it's so like you find out everything, because the exposition in this is just like, well, here's what's happening. Like in every
you got to essentially.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and like I think I'm 99% sure the only reason that character is in this movie at all is because they're like, well, we can't have a bed, talking to camera or anything like that. So what are we going to do? We got to have a point of view character.
Yeah.
And it's a fucking dude trapped behind a painting for some reason. He's like, I've been trapped behind this painting for 60 years. And he's like a 19-year-old guy with a 75-year-old British man's voice. That's really weird.
60 years, and why the fuck does he sound like old Pilgrim or some shit? Straight off the boat from England.
Yeah, and we do find out why, but it's not like a smart reason. It's just we don't find out why he has an old man's voice.
Yeah, 60.
But a young man's body trapped behind a fucking painting that's transparent from where he's sitting, and he's in like a little alcove. It looks like he's hidden behind the painting.
Yeah.
Like in the wall, like in a crawl space.
Like you could just pull it down and there he'd be. Yeah.
It's not like he's trapped in a 2-dimensional plane or anything like that. There's nothing about it that's supernatural seeming, except that you're told that he's there demonically.
And as far as the plot is concerned, there's really no reason for him to be resurrected and stuck behind that painting whatsoever, other than the fact that we need somebody to narrate. That's the only reason.
Somebody to narrate, and we need somebody to explain to the people how to defeat this bed, which he somehow just knows. Like if you were like killed, even if not eaten, and trapped behind a painting, and then you get to realize, oh, the bed was eating me. Oh, the bed was evil. Bed is a bad guy. Then it's like, okay, so let me osmosify the occult situation required to kill this thing somehow from the middle of
60 years isn't even that long to somehow find out that the demon made it.
What, did the bed just make conversation with him? Did it just like monologue one day about how it would be defeated? What's going on?
The bed did give him gifts. Like if it ate somebody who had rings on, the bed would give him rings.
Or like cigarettes.
I think it's like anything inedible goes to him.
Except for
that
the
doesn't include
KFC
clothes
bucket in the empty bottle of wine. bacon and the chicken
Well, that's
bones. I don't know, man.
He doesn't give him trash. He gives him rings and shit and cigarettes.
It's a weird relationship the bed and the painting boy have going on.
I will say though that this movie covers a lot of lore, but to its credit, it covers its ass and it's comprehensible. And I feel like it's a more sound lore than what we got last week in the prophecy.
Oh yeah,
I was very confused.
Yeah.
So it might be very ridiculous, but at least they cover their ass and it makes sense.
This is like it's like somebody the person who wrote this had spent an entire calendar year in a class about short stories with a narrator, and it's like I couldn't separate those two like that from film, which is a visual medium, because everything is explained in this movie. Everything is narrated to an extreme, including inner thoughts of people. It's like thought bubble central going on between all of the characters that filter in and out of this movie. You just hear what they're thinking for no reason. Because you don't get any action otherwise. It's just people wandering in and out of a room with a bed in it.
Yeah. I think this movie is actually pretty ripe for like a remake or maybe a prequel of some sort, because we get this massive montage of like the bed eating a bunch of people, and that's where we find out about Painting Boy and stuff. But also like on the way to finding out about Painting Boy, we find out that the bed... we already know that it eats the gangster that owned it, and that's the house that it's in right now. But it also apparently eats a priest at one point, and then we see it eat like a lady.
An
orgy, yeah.
There's a lady reading a magazine called Oral Lesbians.
Oral Lesbians.
It eats
an elderly lady who loves oral lesbians.
That shit killed me.
It eats a one-legged lady, and then also the orgy. So to get more into that, there's Dr. Graham and his friend open up a hospital for impotent men, and they claim that the bed is some sort of like sexual rejuvenator, so they'd have people come in and bang on this bed because it's supposed to get your wiener hard, I guess.
And this montage was set behind Carney music. Like when they specifically, they're like, we're going to open a hospital, but it's like,
yes.
Like, what the?
So yeah, they just
because
have this
he's a
crazy
carnival
orgy.
barker is the idea, I think, is that he's like a fish oil salesman type of dude.
They just have this. I mean, the bed is very big, so they can easily fit like 10 people on it, and they do. And they're all banging. They move the bed outside too, because they also say that banging in the sunlight, is supposed to also get your dick hard or something.
I mean, if that is the most blatant attempt to extend a scene I've ever seen. It's like, you don't need that.
It's insane. But the bed obviously just eats like all 10 people at once. But I want a movie about that whole doctor, the doctor orgy, the bang
doctor
outside thing.
I'll bet you do want a movie about Dr. Orgy. I'll bet you do, buddy.
Bob,
you know?
We haven't even got to Hotline Kinks yet, Bob.
Bob wants to be the bed in this scenario.
Yeah, I'm hungry.
I want to watch really poorly made horror movies about orgies. That's Bob's kink. And I
to the senses, isn't it, my friend?
And then I want prequels and sequels all about it. Yeah.
There's also, I want to point out, not just like the orgies and the porn gags and all that stuff, but there's ample in that first scene with Frankie and Davey and the bucket of chicken. You have some really just straight up nipple play for several seconds. It's not just like a hint at a breast or even like full on frontal breast. They show it and they're playing with it. That dude is going to town on them yappos.
You gotta warm it up, Randy. You can't just go right in, you know?
And I'm like, I know this is like in the exploitation vein in some way, but goddamn, it was just, this movie is
just go right into the nipple. It's you gotta warm the nipple up. Okay,
no.
You gotta crank it. You gotta crank it up and let it fly.
I don't know.
No, Bob, I'm saying the nipple.
You gotta hit the primer button 3 times.
That's where you start.
And then you yank the chain.
I'm sure that women love these like lawnmower metaphors.
Yeah,
I'm sure they.
We're sorry to everyone. This is not. This only represents the views of Justin, not the rest of us.
I'm the only one not speaking right now.
Yeah, but it's your iron fist, you know?
Yep. But there is
just bizarre, man.
There's some yabos.
A lot of excess nudity in this for sure. Specifically, I mean, the first girl that gets eaten of like our main group after the first couple, she like lays down and take a nap, and she's got like a nightgown kind of situation on. And the bed just like consumes her clothing off of her first, which it hasn't done before that we've seen, or at all after, I don't think. And then it like kind of sucks her. She's wearing a necklace with a cross.
It does kind of suck,
and it sucks the cross down and starts like spinning the necklace like back and forth, which is pretty cool. But there's no reason.
You thought that was cool? That to me that was like,
yeah,
okay. I know that I'm bringing logic to a fucking knife fight here, but. We're talking about a woman lying in a bed whose her clothes are taken off or whatever. That's one thing. You can make the argument that you could not wake up from that, but you can't make the argument that a fucking chain being grinded against your neck to the point that your head is removed is unnoticed to the point that you didn't wake up or even stir.
She's a heavy sleeper.
If this is a scene in which like the demonic bed is able to keep her asleep despite her being killed, then that's the only piece of lore that was not excruciatingly explained by our narrator. So I don't know,
dude. It can resurrect people and put them in walls. I think it's got a lot of power.
Yeah, and that's not explained either. I guess.
No. It does explain. It does put people in dreams. It says, like, in several instances, it puts people in these like dreamlike nightmares several times.
Yeah, but that wasn't the nightmare. That was the chain grinding across. I'm
just saying. Yeah, it shows that it like at least puts people in a trance or whatever.
Okay, well, like it's not worth even really arguing the point, but it just seemed so. And when I was watching it, I was like, okay, well, I guess this is just part. Like it's supposed to eat, right? At this point, it's just being like an 8th rate Jason Voorhees under the bed situation.
Yeah, so he's a little bit of a deviant for sure.
Sharon,
this old bed.
Bed is an asshole.
Sharon, who gets like her head cut off, does have like a fucked up dream where she's eating. There's like a plate of pasta or something like that, but there's like giant bugs crawling around in it, and then
and a grub.
Yeah, she eats a huge like caterpillar or something like that. It's pretty gross.
And that shit goes on camera. I hope that was not a real caterpillar because otherwise that's pretty.
The bug was real. The bug was definitely real.
But I'm just like that poor actress to do that for this movie is so sad.
Well, even I was thinking to myself, there are several women with their yabos out in this movie. And I thought to myself, in the 70s, some man, George Barry, I think his name is, talked several young, beautiful women into performing in a film called Deathbed.
Keep going.
Just have their yabos out. And I was like, damn, this guy must be like the master of just convincing people to do things for him, because he got financing for this movie. He filmed this movie.
He didn't get it distributed. But
do you guys know what the budget of this was?
Oh, was it a bucket of chicken?
I bet it was less than a jet ski, huh, Bob? It was less than you spend yearly on Blu-rays.
It's lower than the Blu-ray budge, that's for sure.
It was estimated to be $30,000.
Oh, that is more. Damn,
that's definitely more. Yeah.
That is definitely
so much more than this movie
from what I spend on Blu-ray.
You fuck.
This movie could have been made on a like $10 budget. I'm pretty sure they needed to buy KFC, and that's the extent of it. Really,
we do get after that chick gets her head cut off. There is like kind of a neat image of like her skull with like her hair on it still like sitting in the stomach bile of the bed or whatever. It's like somewhat haunting and effective, but then immediately after that the bed slams an entire bottle of Pepto-Bismol, which is fucking ridiculous.
That is hilarious. I want to amend earlier I said I don't recommend this movie. I just mean that it's bad. I think that there is like enough humor in this to where like if we got together and watched it, we would have a good time with it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah,
but I also want to point out that it's also pretty boring at times. For me, it was very, very boring at times. The Pepto-Bismol was great.
Anytime the
bucket of chicken was great. People. Right. Like anytime that the narrator's just droning on and on and on, I was not engaged really.
At least when he's droning on, they're showing you crazy things like some orgies and stuff like that. It's like, okay, like Even in the down moments, like the lady reading
There's
like the
still an
oral
orgy.
lesbians, like there was still something going on that I was like, that's okay. Yes, this is very boring and not very good, but at least like I get
the
decent
most
little
boring
chuckle out of it.
The most boring is all of the characters besides those two. Like every other character that's in this movie is at most a thought bubble or two and then eaten or else in a dream state or whatever. It's like they don't have character. Like we have no understanding of why they're there. These three girls that show up specifically are kind of like the central focus. And then later on, one of their brothers, who has a fierce unibrow, by the way. And anyway, so they like the three girls show up or whatever, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, this is great. We can all sleep in the same bed. It's big." I was like, "Okay, weird." But one girl's like, "Oh, I'll just take a nap now, and you guys can go play or go do whatever." And then she gets her head chopped off or whatever. It's just like any time that they're like driving up to the house, or if they're out sitting on their picnic, like, oh, well, Deborah didn't show up. Deborah must be still sleeping or whatever they're fucking talking about. It's just, it's not exciting.
Around this like field for a while.
I would rather have, this is the only case I can think of where this is true. I would rather have more narration, like from like more like third person narration than have to listen to them like say to each other, "Where's Deborah? Oh, she must be out in the woods. Oh, okay, let's have some pickles."
I will say this bed, while the lore is understandable and for the most part sound, I guess with its with its internal logic,
you just don't really have an opportunity to question it.
Its logic is whatever the fuck.
I'm telling you the truth. I'm just telling you what's happening, and you can take it or leave it. That's pretty much how this movie posits.
It's not completely consistent with how it eats people, because one chick is able to pull herself out, and it was like kind of like a brutal idea, but this girl pulls herself out of the acid stuff where it's kind of started to eat her legs, but dude, I thought it's that mostly was just bloody. Well,
it's like tempera paint smeared on her jeans. Her jeans are bleeding.
She sat in some paint.
But then she drags herself across the room and then up the stairs. Like, but then the sheet
fucking ever
in real time. Yeah, she's crawling.
Yeah, it really does.
that was another dragging scene. It's like, oh my god, can we please just get back to anything else?
When the sheets come later to life and pull her back.
But then later, so she's able to pull herself out. But then later, some guy tries to stab the bed, which is hilarious. Yeah, and his hands get caught, and he is like desperately trying to pull them out.
That was so funny,
dude. He pulls out the skeleton.
He pulls out like 8th grade science class skeleton hands with hinges and everything. And he's like, "Man, this is fucked up." Like he's not even that.
Yeah, he's not even phased.
Nobody in this movie ever screams except for the bed. That's the weirdest choice ever. Like you don't have. You have all these women. Opportunity for
legs got eaten. I thought she was kind of like freaking out a little bit.
Freaking out maybe, but she didn't. Nobody really like reacts, especially that guy. That guy has his hands in there. He's just kind of like, and he comes out and he's like, "Oh no!"
After the flesh is melted off of his hands, he then is like, "Well, I guess I'm fucked," and he gets the chick to pull the bones off and throw them in the fire.
He's like, "You're gonna have to pull them off," and she's like, "All right."
Well, he's like the Well, one little piece falls off, and he's like, the cartilage is like
the cartilage is decaying. It's like, so just go ahead and pull off that Band-Aid. And by that, I mean, rip my bones off of my wrist.
I love that visual
Rip
gag.
them off of my wrist. It was so funny.
Perfect
I
bone.
loved where he just had the bone hands. That show's pretty good, man.
That was really great.
Yeah. Pretty good. The bit with the mobster did not make a whole lot of sense to me. So we get a scene where he's like,
I have notes.
Yeah, the mobster's like hiding out and he's like playing cards with this dude. They're playing poker or whatever. And he picks his cards up and he looks at them and it's whatever the cards are, they're normal cards. He sets them down, like, smokes his stogie a little bit, and he picks his cards back up. And then on the cards, it's like, it looks handwritten in pen, and it says like, "Haha, you are no joker." But like, did the bed do that somehow?
The bed did that. The bed did that.
What?
Can I? Yeah. Also, these two mobsters who are at odds in some capacity are just decided to play cards on a big bed together. Typical mobster behavior, you might say. I would say not.
I like when they start to get eaten, the bubbles kind of come up as it typically does. And
that phone budget ran low.
Like shooting down.
Yeah.
And their shooting is very 70s, like just thrusting the gun forward.
That's how you make the bullet
bang,
go.
Bang.
That's how you make it go.
Oh man, that shit! There was some good, funny scenes in this.
I'm gonna like go down my. I wrote a lot of notes on this because I wasn't sure if I would be able to pay attention very closely. My phone had a charge, but it doesn't matter. So first of all, I wrote just a few things that I thought were funny. Like there was a scene in this movie that's like probably 3 or 4 minutes long where it's first describing like what the deathbed is, and it's like, it used to be in the city, but it's a coward, and now it lives out in the woods. And shit's like, okay, the bed's a coward, I guess. And during this whole sequence, it is just a full-on stock footage bonanza from the early 1900s. It's just like shot after shot of like, the World's Fair 1902 and shit. Like, I don't like. It's just really hilarious, low-budget movie thing. Let's see. There's plenty of theremin in this movie. I could not keep track of all the expressionless white ladies in this movie. There was at least 3, and they were both identical and looked nothing alike. But at the same time, I just had a hard time keeping up with them, even up to the end. Let's see. There's fucking unibrow. One lady's toes, the lady who had her head chopped off or whatever, her toes just start bleeding for no reason.
Yeah.
That was fucking weird.
Yeah, that was weird.
Like just through between the toes, just blood starts dropping. And I was like, what's happening to her toes? There's also that foam that eats them or whatever, which I also liked, but they clearly like either just gave up on it or just for some reason they did not bother as much in the second half with putting foam on anything. Their budget ran low for foam. Let's see what else. Fucking the slurping sound when the bed is eating one of their handbags. One of their handbags gets eaten or whatever right before the Pepto-Bismol shot, and it just shows it going down. It goes. It was so stupid. I love that. Let's see. Oral lesbians and Tropic of Cancers in one of their bags, which is just another provocative thing. I wrote the phrase sex bed and 2 exclamation points, and then electric sex bed with 3 exclamation points. That's when we were going through the snake oil salesman, Carney type guy, and the doctor, or whatever you call him. And he's like, we're going to put impotent men in this bed. And so it's a bed where basically a dude hires a prostitute to cure you of your impotence, and then later on does it in the sunlight. And that's what leads to our orgy, which we've already covered. He wrote at one point the doctor's like, I've already rented the bed out. I was like, who the fuck rented the bed? I've just rented the bed. Well, you rent a center? Jesus Christ.
You rent it by the hour, Randy.
About the mobsters, I wrote bed does close-up magic. He's playing with their fucking cards. And what is it? You are not a joker? What was the line he said? You are no joker?
Haha, you are no joker. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
What the fuck does that mean?
I don't know.
The bed is just like teasing these.
We got to say something. It's got to relate to cards. Jokers, we'll say you're no joker. You're no joker. Let's see. I don't know. There's the jeans were bleeding. I recall Unibrow became Bone Daddy. I wrote a lot of shit down. But man, I don't know. This movie, like when you stack them all up like that, it has a lot more funny moments than I was ready to just naturally think about. But and only a few of them really indicate it's like, okay, they are definitely in on the joke. But then there are a few things that are just like dumb production things that are also hilarious. So it kind of works on a couple levels, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
The demon tears, that was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it cries blood on the bed.
Yeah, like as we all know, demons who often come in the form of trees and wind also always have bloodshot eyes. That's just something that the wind has also.
Yeah, I love how he's like, and as you know, whenever a demon takes human form, it can change its eyes. Like, oh yes, I am aware of this fact.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know that. I'm not stupid. I know all about that.
Common knowledge.
Satan must be stopped at every opportunity.
the fact that this demon like bangs this chick to death is pretty fucked up. And they just kind of gloss over that.
He bangs. First of all, it's a demon. It's a demon that like kills people and all this shit. But it falls in love with this lady for whatever reason, and accidentally kills her via fucking. And then his eyes shatter and his fucking blood tears go down into the bed, and that's how the bed is formed. It's like that is the loosest goddamn canon I have ever heard.
But here's the thing though. I gotta give this guy some credit though, because he followed through. Like, yeah, that guy just told me that demons have blood eyes, but then
as we know,
it cries and it comes life. But it's like, you know what? That's at least a complete origin story.
Yeah, it is. They
know, it's like it makes some kind of sense.
If you take it at face value, it makes sense. Yeah. Well, yeah. If you just make up mythology, if mythology is just something you make up in a room.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't hard to accept.
No, I mean nothing about
this is where this bed came from.
No, because you're just told and you're just like, well, all right, bloodshot eyes. Here we go.
Yeah, I kind of appreciate that. I don't know. This guy, he follows through.
It's like it's like he was sitting there like, okay, I got to make this thing out. I got to pad it with something. I might as well just like tell you every detail about how this works up until a point, and then it's just like, okay, we got 107 minutes. That's fine.
Yeah, and it's still short. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like when
I don't know, man.
The Diane character, when she falls asleep on the bed, she's like smoking a cigarette and it burns a hole into the bed and you hear the bed kind of like whimper a little bit.
Except earlier, the fucking gangster was smoking a fat ass cigar and it looked like the bed like smoked the cigar.
The bed
or at least
smoked the cigar. And ate Pepto-Bismol. And the thing is, it's just still gesticulating or making sounds the whole fucking time. It's just like,
and it always jumps over to that like orange yellowish liquid,
right? Every
or whatever, like it's a pool, like it's like a stomach,
like it's a pool of acid or something.
The logic does not completely line up with the visual.
The girl who with the bloody jeans, she gets sucked back in through the bottom of the bed, which somehow just has another entryway to the bed's quote unquote stomach. I don't know. No explanation needed. You just this is kind of like a David Lynch movie, except instead of, trying to get you to like feel unsettled or bizarre or whatever, it just kind of shows you things that you're supposed to be like, all right, whatever. It's kind of accept at face value. It's kind of enjoyable on that level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie's
so the guy,
wild.
the guy in the painting, at one point he's like, she has cigarettes. I haven't smoked in 70 years, which logic dictates he gave it up 10 years before being eaten by a bed. I don't know why that detail is important, but either that or they got the years wrong, which is equally possible.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I don't know. Yeah, so then we move into the dinner segment of the movie, which we pretty much already talked about everything that happens there. Diane falls asleep on the bed. She wakes up half-eaten, crawls to the stairs, gets pulled back, gets finished off. Sharon's brother comes into the picture. His hands get melted off as he tries to cut the bed open and pull Diane back out. And then it's like we move into the, quote, just desserts portion of the movie, which is like the final title card that we get. And that's when the dude can speak beyond the painting, and we know how to.
Yeah, we're told that the demon fell asleep suddenly. It's like, the demon's asleep. Time for the plot to continue.
And they do this whole wild ritual, and the bed gets transported outside, and then they bang on the bed, and the bed bursts into flames. It's wild.
Oh, and also Unibrow gets fucked by a dead chick.
Yeah. Yeah.
His sister gets eaten by the bed, and Pastor Penny's like, haha, I've lied to you. You're going to die, and I'm going to be released from my prison. And also, you're going to revive the lady who's originally fucked to death, but is apparently not dead, who is perfectly preserved underground and has her heart beating the whole movie, all the way up until the end, where she's finally released and she fucks the now dead girl's brother. Or, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right. That's fucking that's just so ridiculous. Like, why is any of this?
I don't understand a lot of the motivation here, because so we've got this demon guy who bangs this girl that he's into and then accidentally kills her, and he's sad about it, and then cries on the bed, and the bed comes to life. So that's kind of where we're at here. So why would why would the demon go to sleep and then like seek out the bed to take the bed's powers away? Like why is the demon vindictive of the bed? And also
I don't know that it is.
Okay, well that's question number one, and we can get to that. But also like why is the bed then afraid of this girl who looks like the girl who was banged to death on it? Like, wouldn't it be super excited to see her? Because it's like, oh, maybe she is alive. Like, why would it be afraid?
No,
I see what you mean.
Maybe it's like sad. Maybe it's like because it came from the demon's tears.
They say it's afraid, though. They say it's scared, not sad or like
because
confused.
part of the ritual, part of it being killed is that person coming back to life and being fucked by a man with a unibrow.
Yeah, I mean, it had a right to be scared, Bob. She destroyed it.
So it's like, is this the girl? Am I about to be destroyed? Maybe that's why.
Yeah.
This is a good answer to the question, but also like, why does the bed need to be destroyed? And why does the girl want to destroy the bed? The girl should want to destroy the demon, not just the bed, because the demon fucked her to death. Like, I got questions. I don't know.
No, but yeah, that would make sense because the girl would want vengeance on being fucked to death. So it would make sense that she would want to destroy the bed where she was fucked to death.
Yeah, but go kill the demon that lives in a tree somewhere. You know,
but they can't. So
I don't know if she can, but she can take out the bed. Okay. I don't know.
So the ghost girl's powers are limited, but we don't know that.
It makes sense, Bob. It makes sense.
Okay.
This bed slurps Pepto. I just don't
everything is sound here, Bob.
The screenplay is airtight, so we're just gonna roll with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. There's nothing this movie can't explain away just by stating it outright.
Yeah, the fact that you're trying to find holes in deathbed is problematic.
Exists.
No, I mean, if we got to talk about this movie, we were told were told the whole movie. Like literally, we didn't watch anything. We were told everything. Yeah. So if with that situation going, it's like, what's left to dissect? I guess we could split hairs about the plot, but really, what's happening is a dude with a unibrow had his hands turned into scientific model skeleton hands.
Yeah. And so why does the bed eat people? Like if the demon doesn't eat people, why does the bed have to?
Dude, I don't know.
Man. I just got questions. That's why I need a sequel and or a prequel.
It's got a sexual hunger, but it takes it out in eating, you know?
Yeah. That's
there's like a whole thing about the one girl who gets her head chopped off as they're driving down. They have a whole like inner monologue of her being like, I don't remember much about the drive except when they made fun of me because because some bullshit. And it's like, none of this matters.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good, any kind of character development in this thing fucking sucked.
Nothing. Even the guy behind the painting who we find out had like tuberculosis or whatever and died and was too sickly to be eaten by the bed. So the bed used some unknown third power to seal him away in a painting that's actually a crawl space.
I don't know why y'all have a hard time accepting that this bed is powerful. I mean, we've seen that it can make dreams. We've seen that it can control the sheets. It tore down. I guess because it needed
Pepto-Bismol.
It showed us from this,
but it had a sore tummy.
But it
drank
showed
Pepto.
us. It showed us.
And it read Tropic of Cancer.
It could tear down a whole house, and you guys are still wondering at this point what it can do. Come on.
Yeah, I am wondering what it can do because it's stated outright until it's not. And then you're like, well, why this then? If you're going to tell me everything, then tell me everything.
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 Even the kinks.
Yeah, because you're right. Like when he's doing voiceover, like let's find out why is this demon going around like falling in love? How the fuck does a demon fall in love? What is going on with that? What's going on with fucking with the Pepto? What's going on with any of this shit? Like you can... It went through every fucking ring on the guy in the painting's hand and told a story about the death of a person. You can't tell me it can't squeeze in a few extra lines to explain why it's like why the demon holds into a tree and then the wind. Like why?
Here's what I want to know that is never answered in this fucking movie.
Okay,
where does Painting Boy get his black nail polish from? Because he's stuck in a wall, and how does he keep that shit fresh?
He's not aging, so is he a man out of time and in a crawl space?
So what? His fingernails never chip? What? He never needs to apply.
He's frozen in time.
He's in an ethereal plane, frozen in time, and it just happens to look a lot like a crawl space with a heat lamp nearby.
The only question that I have about this movie really is how much does an annual subscription to Oral Lesbians cost? I need to know.
Interesting. European style.
Rob.
It's probably $69.69. That's probably what it is.
Yeah, that's steep.
Around here, that means big money.
They're really thick magazines,
Yeah.
A lot of content in them.
Yep. At least that guy gets some pern, though. Maybe he was gifted some Oral Lesbians pern for his eternal journey in a crawl space.
Yeah, he probably appreciated that one.
I'm sure he did.
Do we have anything else we got to talk about before we rate Deathbed?
I can't believe we had to talk about this.
Yeah.
We filled it out pretty good.
Yeah, we padded it out almost as good as the movie padded itself.
That's true.
Our talking about this movie is going to be longer than the actual movie.
It's definitely true.
Yep, that is true. All right, well, let's go ahead and rate this thing. Out of 5, how do you guys feel about Deathbed, the bed that eats? Randy, kick us off.
I softened towards it a little bit as we chatted, because I do think, based on our conversation, that it would be funny to watch in a group. And for whatever reason, I wasn't really thinking that way. I did enjoy myself to some extent privately, but there were a lot of dead air moments where I was like, I really want to skip ahead, and this movie is only 117 minutes. How am I going to do this? But then there was, of course, scenes with fucking skeleton hands and unibrows. So I mean, it evens out, and overall, I think that for a movie that was supposed to I was supposed to detest, as it was chosen in order for me to detest, I definitely did not. So I don't hate this movie. I don't love it. I would say that it's obviously it's just obviously bad, but the enjoyability factor is not nothing. It registers on the scale, and it registered even more as we sat here talking about it. So for me, on that basis alone, I would give it a 1.5, I think.
All right, 1.5 from Randy. Juice, how do you feel about Deathbed?
Well, straight out of the gate, it gets a half star for the Yabos, which it's been a while. It's been a while since I've had to give out half star for the Yabos, so I appreciate that.
I'm sure everyone does.
There's several Yabos.
Yeah, do not skimp.
Yeah, this guy talked several young, beautiful women into showing their Yabos for Deathbed, the bed that eats. So good on that guy, I guess.
I don't know, man. Kind of cootery behavior if you want to get down to it, but whatever.
I mean, I assume they did it willingly.
Yeah, your assumptions are noted.
Oh my god.
I don't know, man. It's very problematic. It's not a good movie, but I think it would be a lot of fun hanging out, drinking with friends to watch this movie, even by myself with the slightest buzz. Got a lot of good laughs out of this, actually. So it's definitely not the worst thing I've seen. I think Michael kind of failed on this one as far as his plot to make us watch the worst movie ever. So I don't know. I'm kind of riding with Randy on this one with the half star for the Abos. I think I'll end it at a 1.5 as well.
Right on. 1.5 from Juice. Well,
Bob, how do you feel about Deathbed, the bed that eats, with your half star for the Abos added in?
That is not how I rate movies.
Oh, you don't have a code? Oh, no. You're a man with no code? I see.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Bob, what's your score?
A man with no honor. Let's hear what you think.
Thank you. Yeah, this movie is a bad movie, technically, on pretty much every level. The acting is very poor. The writing is very poor. I think it's always a really bad sign when the majority of the plot comes from someone just narrating, just explaining everything to you. That's a really bad way to make a movie. However, it's very goofy. Some of the jokes are pretty solid and they land. A lot of the jokes are visual. Some of them are audible with the chomping of the bed and shit. All that stuff works pretty well, I think, and pretty much makes for an enjoyable movie. Even though it drags here and there, it pretty much knows itself, and I think it succeeds in what it's trying to do for the most part. Watch it with friends and beers, and you'll have a good time. I'm going to give it a 1.5 as well, which is going to make our aggregate a 1.5.
Whoa.
Unanimous.
Yeah. Rare.
Deathbed.
It's rare.
United the straight chilling crew.
Inadequacy. This is all of us now.
It was pretty good. It was all right. It wasn't great, but it was fine.
Yeah, it was like
fine.
licking. It was like Dennis licking an asshole.
It was
Just like Dennis licking an asshole.
fine. This movie is just like licking an asshole.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. Some people really enjoy licking an asshole.
Does
Mama Grandy.
Do my ears hear experience speaking?
I mean,
Just like licking an asshole.
how big is the salad? That's all I really need to know. All right, let's go ahead and jump into a
Lots
Rotten
of eggs in
Tomatoes.
that, baby.
Oh my God. Oh, Rotten Tomatoes segment. See what the critics and users think about Deathbed.
Certified fresh to death.
Oh my God.
So we have.
Need that sound clip.
Jeez.
No, we don't. It plays all the time anyway. So we're gonna do what we're gonna do now is go through Rotten Tomatoes scores, critics and users between 0 and 100%. I'm gonna have these two gentlemen guesstimate to the best of their ability where it lies on that scale. And actually, we have a pretty interesting case this week, which hasn't happened in a little while. Usually with Michael's picks, and that we have no data, no tomatometer, no data yet available for the critic scores, none counted. So there's no critics consensus either. So we're just actually doing the audience score, of which there are 686 reviews.
Wow.
Yeah. So this movie has a little bit of cult following.
686.
Probably, I know.
Could have been 696.
Could've
10
been.
more people.
God damn.
69 dudes!
Yeah, I thought you were going to say we were looking for 666 because it's a horror movie podcast and a horror movie, but whatever, to each their own. 69 dudes. So yeah, why don't we start with Juice, since you're already on the prowl for a score here?
All right.
Why don't you give us between 0 and 100, or between 1 and 100%? What do you think the users gave this movie?
Man, I'm actually pretty surprised. Like almost 700 people took the time. So that's got to be favorable in some capacity. But I can't go too high though. I'll say 45.
45 percentile. Bob, what are you thinking?
I'm going to go with 50.
50. Whoa, somebody thinks it's middle of the road.
Mm-hmm.
So Juice is going to take it.
Woo!
Not super close, but close enough. It's a whopping 30%. 30%. And yeah. So
I mean, even we could. That's us, right?
That is where we gave it. Yeah.
That is except we are men of the people. Exactly.
Spot on.
You should have followed your gut.
Yeah.
This is a negative review, a half-star review from a user.
Hope it says
the part where his hand feel off made total sense. The whole thing also made sense. The whole movie was good. Boobies are great. Eyes that are red always bleed. I would rate this 10 out of 5 red roses, but this is not red rose, so it get 1/2 star.
Boobies are great. That's a great philosophy to have.
That's fantastic.
That's a review from Rotten Tomatoes user No Thank Why.
I love that.
No thank you.
No, the Y is an initial. No thank. Capital NOTHANK space capital Y.
Wow.
So give No Thank Y your love on Rotten
Bravo.
Tomatoes.
We should quit.
Boobies are great.
All you need is that man. That's all you need.
See, that man has more of a code than Bob does.
Bob's man with no code.
It's reprehensible, but it's there. So yeah, I don't know. That's about all for Rotten Tomatoes. There's no critics did not touch this movie, and it's understandable why. I don't know if we're going to cover trivia or not. Justin, are you?
There's not a lot of trivia, but if we want to, we could talk about your clip, Randy, and a little bit about that.
And its history, like the Sure. The release and all that, I think, is worth mentioning.
All
right, Bob, why don't you cue us up?
Let's get into some trivia.
It's totally time for trivia.
Sometimes I just got to give Rob little tasks to make him feel powerful.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Rob, you host real good. Okay.
Oh, you're real good,
Oh,
man. You really introed
God.
that so good.
So why don't you go ahead and host? Let us tell you when to
Oh my
host.
God. Talk about your shit.
Randy, so the first piece of trivia is about the clip that you sent. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. It's so the first piece. There's only like 5 pieces of trivia. I just went on out of curiosity on IMDb, and probably the main thing, probably the main reason this movie is even known to a modern audience is at least due in part to Patton Oswalt, who did a short bit about this movie that is very, very funny. He wrote it back in like I want to say like 2007 or something like that.
Yeah, 2007.
Yeah, and it's on one of his albums, and it's pretty funny because he's sitting there like kvetching about how hard it is to write a script, and then he's like, and then I watched this movie called Deathbed, the bed that eats, and he's like, and I felt worse. It's just this really great bit. I'm not going to try and imitate it, but I recommend it. That's all. I'll put it up on our show notes.
Yeah,
because it's essentially like, this guy got funding for this movie. A film crew came out. People like starred in it, showed their yabos.
Yeah, people participated. People took part of their lives and dedicated it to Deathbed, just like us now.
So never give up on your dreams. That's the goal.
Especially if your dreams involve inanimate objects eating people.
Yeah. So apparently I'm a little confused about this. So it says filming started in 1972.
Right.
It says an answer print was struck in 1977, but the film was not released until 2003. I don't know what an answer print is.
I don't know exactly, but I believe that the story is that that was to attain distribution for the movie. Okay. And nobody gave them distribution, so it sat on the shelf for years up until that print, which somehow got leaked out to the public in some fashion.
So an answer print is the first version of a given motion picture that is printed to film after color correction on an interpositive. So it's just the first copy of it.
It's a rough cut, basically. And and that rough cut is what we see now because that's what was passed along. And that was the other half of what made this movie release at all was that. And then the reason that we're probably aware of it now is because Patton Oswalt made people aware of it in his thing. So it's a weird journey this movie took, and I think that's pretty fascinating, actually.
That is pretty nuts because it never technically had an official release, and it says until its official DVD release in 2003, Deathbed had been circulated via pirated bootlegs, and unknown to director George Barry, the film had gained an underground fan base. Barry said he discovered people discussing it on the internet one evening and decided to put an official video release of the film into works, which ultimately ended in 2003. So it had to gain some popularity in the 90s for him to
VHS probably was a lot of that.
Yeah, and then to release it in 2003. So that's nuts.
It's probably like the Mystery Science Theater tape fan club situation all over again.
Back in the day, Rob and Randy's generation got shit done analog style.
Heard that.
Yeah. Do you know what VHS is, Justin?
I believe it's a series of films.
Did you hear about that in history class?
I've seen VHS and VHS too. So.
Oh yeah, you know the series VHS.
Yes,
I see.
Yes,
great. Yeet and all that.
Yeet Mesquite.
Yeet all Mesquite.
Right. But that's about all. Let's see. Director George Barry's inspiration for Deathbed came in a dream, which the film's bizarre, surreal nature is attributed to. We got a real David Lynch in our hands.
Yeah, exactly. He's doing David Lynch, but he's not playing it like any sort of straight. Really, he's just kind of like, I don't know. He knows that it's sort of silly, and he's playing with that. Whereas David Lynch does that in order to make you feel like uncomfortable with the world that you're watching. He's trying to make it just really bizarre. It reminds me a little bit of Houseu, this movie just a little bit in its absurdity, but it's
Yeah.
not quite as heightened of an absurdity, which
Yeah,
I would, if this
House
movie
Suicide
took it a little
five-star
further,
film.
I imagine I would love it just as much as I love that movie, because
Yeah.
it's already got like the bones and some of the like humor of that movie. It just doesn't really blow it out the way that it does.
It does. This was actually kind of interesting because the location is kind of weird, but it was filmed almost entirely at the Garwood Mansion on Keelson Island in Detroit. The mansion has long been completely demolished now, though. So,
but the sex dungeon is still there.
Yeah, sex dungeon with the deathbed still rocking.
You can still go back.
Yeah, but that's about all the trivia we've got.
All right.
Yep.
Well, let's go hunting.
Everybody's always trying to get into the Book of Cooter. Maybe Michael has made it with our first bed Cooter. Let's talk about it first. What is the Cooter Straight Chillin' Exclusive? Cooter is a character type. You have to hit 3 of these 5 points to be considered a Cooter. So let's break it down. First, sexual deviancy, manipulation, smug arrogance, overall look and attire, and overall patheticness. Is this bed a Cooter?
Yep. The bed is a Cooter.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Okay, let's break it down. At what point do we want to start on? What is its strongest Cooter point?
Manipulation. Definitely. The whole point, the whole thing in this movie is that it's manipulating people into getting into its bed, boning down, and then getting sucked the life out of them.
But does it do anything to bring people into its
According
bed?
to the narrator, it does. Like he locks the doors of the main mansion to get them to come into his little sex dungeon for starters, and that's pretty much. He's like every story we hear is about the bed, introducing or finding its way to somebody, or somebody finding their way to it, and then him manipulating them into sleeping there, or otherwise manipulating even more people into sleeping there, or more like a giant orgy of people. He buys his time until he gets the most people he can, and all sorts of shit. So yeah, I would say manipulation's off the chart for him.
Okay.
Pretty high.
All right. Manipulation is there. I will give it sexual deviancy. I will say that it's sexual deviant. Before it eats several women, it rips their clothes off.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a direct. That also goes back to directorial choice as well. But yes. I think the bed is a sexual deviant in pursuit of or in service to the director who wants to see some yabos on screen.
Well, for sure. I mean,
yeah.
I think it's also pathetic because it has to swallow some Pepto-Bismol at one point. It's like a magical creature.
You are not sensitive.
Well, no,
it's ridiculous.
He's not a deathbed. Also, like the fucking painting guy pretty much negs this bed like from the get-go, talking about how like it's a coward, it's cowardice led it to hide away. So if we're taking everything that guy says at face value, which is the whole movie is taking him at face value, then I guess he's a fucking pathetic bed.
He's kind of pathetic in that he kind of throws a tantrum and tears the house down.
Yeah, but not all the way down because like, why don't you use your considerable power to take away the mansion entirely? And of course, that doesn't happen. It's never referenced again. It's fucking weird. I thought that the house would collapse at the end of the movie or something.
Yeah.
Like why even mention that?
What about the attire? It's like, it's like a 4-post.
It's a
bed. And it's got like huge curtains. It's massive.
I think it's looking pretty swanky.
Red satin kind of deal. I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like it belongs in one of the lesser dungeons of the Playboy Mansion.
Yeah. I mean,
how about smug arrogance though? I feel like it could be arrogant.
I think it could be. Yeah, I think it hits that mark at least registers because I
feel like there was one point somebody brought up earlier, and I was like, "Ooh, that's smug arrogance," and I can't remember exactly.
It toys with people.
Maybe it like takes their shit.
It does.
I don't know.
And gives it to this guy. Oh, smug air. Like, I guess putting this guy behind a painting. I mean, that resurrecting him, trapping him there.
Well, he didn't want the demon bed didn't want to get sick from the tuberculosis, so he put him behind a painting.
Yeah, but to put him behind a painting,
the bed can get sick and apparently have tummy troubles. All you have to do is really introduce smallpox to this bed. Put a smallpox blanket on this thing, and it is fucked.
Well, it's a hard 3.
Can't get vaccinated.
A hard 3 points right there. Soft on 2.
That's 5. Okay. I see what you're saying.
No, not looking at tire. Come on, it's swanky.
I mean, it's debatable. But regardless, hard three.
Yeah,
that's all you need.
Hard three.
Cooter, our
two
first
contender.
bed that is a cooter.
Yep, it's a
First piece of furniture at all to go down.
Yeah, I don't know. Didn't we have a house?
Yeah, that's a house though. It's not.
It's
that's
not furniture.
Not furniture.
The furniture category of cooters is not a crowded field.
It's
I don't
not.
know. You could sleep on a house.
All
Okay,
right.
Snoopy, whatever
All
you
right.
say.
The bed is a cooter. Is there anybody else that would really contend?
Guy behind the painting. Can we talk about him?
Yeah, he's got the attire.
Yeah, that's not necessarily his fault, but he looks ridiculous.
He's definitely pathetic. He's just sitting there. He's just
he's
sitting
got
there.
he's just
Big
sitting there
old
in his little
bitch.
crawl space. It's pathetic and
talking shit to a bed.
listening to a bed snore and chomp.
Yeah.
Sexual deviance, not really to speak of. He can't unless he's like jerking prime time 9 hours a day out there. He does have anal lesbians.
He be stroking oral lesbians.
Oral, Randy.
Oral. Excuse me. I am so sorry.
Freudian.
Yeah, how could you lick an asshole? Randy's got this hidden desires. He's got them deep down there.
Poo on me.
Randy wants that glass bottom boat.
Oh, give me.
Come on,
Forget
girl.
the glass. I just want to be on the bottom of the lake.
Come on, girl.
Anyway, so yeah, pathetic. Sexual deviance, not so much. Look, sure. Manipulation. He manipulates the one girl into doing the ceremony at her own expense of life. So I think that counts.
Rob's losing his shit.
Rob, of course, I said the word poop. Rob has no choice but to laugh wildly for 20
Randy
minutes.
getting shit on is hilarious to me.
Well, I mean, come to
Popping
the
that
show.
Q-Che, Bob.
Yep.
And then Smug, I guess. I don't know. I don't think he registers as highly as Bed.
Yeah, I don't
Bed
think
is
so.
pretty
Yeah.
cooter.
Bed's the way to go, for sure.
Vote Bed.
Gangsters at all? Let's see.
We don't know enough.
I don't think we see them enough to know. Like, they are kind of hanging out playing cards in bed together like teenage girls, but whatever.
What about the guy from the beginning? What about that guy?
Manipulation, check. Sexual deviancy, check.
You want to have sex
I
with this
don't know.
dungeon that I found in the woods?
Patheticness, maybe? Patheticness?
I mean, he can't even remember that he brought a full bucket of chicken.
So that's pretty
I
obvious.
must have made a mistake.
I must have. I guess the other option is that somebody ate it while he was nipple twerking. So I don't know what other conclusion I would come to.
I guess I made a mistake.
I guess I fucked up. Maybe I have a problem.
You gotta prime the
Did I have a seizure?
Yeah, my short-term memory is fucked. Did we
Do
eat
I
already?
need a CAT scan?
I ate a whole bucket of
I'm gonna
chicken
go-
and forgot.
I need to go get an MRI. I'll be right back. You stay here in this cool bed, swanky bed.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe light, cooter light.
I don't know.
Okay.
I think there's some cootery tendencies, but it's tough to say with minimum information.
Yeah. We're going with the bed. We got some other shit to talk about. We got
Wait, is the demon a cooter? Real quick. Is the demon a cooter?
I mean, it fucks a girl to death, but it's a demon. So
The sexual deviancy, he has to hypnotize her. He's got blood eyes and he's a bitch, so he cries them everywhere.
I mean, he's sad because he accidentally banged a chick to death.
I want to see the scene where the demon is all upset because he fucked that chick to death, and then he runs and jumps into bed and goes into the pillow, forming deathbed.
So you want
That's
a
what I wanna see.
prequel, like we all do.
I
Got
do,
it.
yeah. I want a prequel that involves the Dawson's Creek of it all.
So maybe the demon.
Demon. I mean, I think everybody involved in this movie is probably registers on some metric, but
yeah,
the bed really kind of, we know enough about this bed to know it hits at least registers on the Richter scale of every point.
Yeah, I feel like the demon could get a tire with his eyes, a tire look with his eyes, pathetic with how he cries about it, and sexual deviancy because he gets this chick to be hypnotized.
Dude, you're a demon. Don't be going around crying about some chick you fucked to death. This is really not becoming.
Yeah, so
Thanks,
Calling
DJ.
it. All right, we can move on.
Thanks. All right. Now that Justin is able to move on, we can all move on.
Yes.
Iron
This
Fist
house
and
is
Bob
clear.
over here. Don't let anybody else talk.
Oh, what the fuck ever. Let's let our hair down. Talk about... Okay, let's talk about what we've been watching this week.
Hey gang, what you been watching?
Social hour.
This is a tense episode.
Randy, what you been watching?
For an episode where we agreed on our score 100%, we really are pretty contentious.
At each other's throats.
What I've been watching? I've been watching quite a few things this week. I had a little bit more time than usual. I watched something. Well, here, let's see if you can guess what I watched based on this.
Rigatoni?
Yeah, that's right. I watched Rigatoni, which is the funniest fucking thing I have ever seen on a television program called Supermarket Sweep. I don't think I'm going to watch any more episodes of that show, but I watched the first one, and this lady says,
Rigatoni?
And that shit makes me fucking insane with laughter. That was the funny. I literally, I could not stop. It was like Justin's rat in Halloween, where it just really hit something pure and good in my soul. So funny. If you don't know what that is, please just watch episode 1 on the collection of Supermarket Sweep on Netflix. It's worth it, if only just for that one line. Again, I'm not going to watch any more of it probably, but I've seen that and like kind of watched the second episode, but that's the only thing worth mentioning about it to me. I also watched Unsolved Mysteries. Finally got caught up on that, and I do like that show. Did you guys say you really liked the UFO episode?
Yeah, I did.
Really? I know. I mean, that was definitely my least favorite episode I saw. I don't know. I guess I'm just not really taken with that whole mythos. It's interesting enough, and whatever. But I'm way more interested in the true crime, like missing persons stuff. That shit really hit me pretty good. I just like hearing about that sort of thing because they're unsolved mysteries. Like that's the whole show, and the show does a really good job of like updating for modern audiences. Like really, really good. So I guess there's a mini episode about that coming to you from Juice pretty soon. You'll get his thoughts on that. I've also been watching Space Ghost Coast to Coast on HBO Max, and I'll tell you, man, that show has increased returns every time I watch it,
Nice.
Especially now that I kind of like understand some of the animation principles or like the way they produce those shows, and like they used like old footage from Hanna-Barbera cartoons because that's what Turner Broadcast had available. And they had a bunch of these like really subversive comedians, not that subversive, I guess, but subversive comedians like taking these properties and just making really bizarre, random shit. And every time I watch it, I appreciate it more. It's a fucking good show. I'm started BioShock Infinite, just a little bit way through it. It's very beautiful. Speaking of things with the word shock in the title, I also watched a movie called Bottle Shock. Have you guys heard of that?
No.
I hadn't really either, but it's a movie that is set in the area we're in right now, the Napa Valley area. It's about winemaking, and we're like, well, we're in the area. I don't give a shit about wine, but maybe this is good. It's got fucking Alan Rickman and Chris Pine and Bill Pullman in it. I'm like, okay, well, that cast is superlative enough for me. Or is good enough for me. I guess that's the wrong word for that, but I watched this thing and we had to turn it off. By the time we got to the fucking underground street rules wine tasting, I was done. I could not take any more of this fucking thing. This is the most self-serious fucking movie I've seen in a while. It really, really wants you to take wine tasting seriously. They literally have like a fucking wine tasting battle sort of thing between these like hip young, like really trying to hip up wine tasting, and it's set in the 70s, so everybody's already looking weird anyway. Fucking Chris Pine's got insane long like surfer dude hair from the 70s. It's just fucking not watchable to me. I don't care anywhere near enough
Chris
about wine.
Pine. What?
Yeah, and Alan Rickman's in it, and he's just like this fucking, like, from what I saw, just like this curmudgeonly dude, which is normally fine for him, but it's about wine. Like, I don't, how can I give a shit? How could I? To all the wine fans out there, maybe you'll like it, but for me, it was just a slog. I had to shut that shit off. You cannot make fucking wine tasting hip or cool or like street. You can't make it a fucking activity done on the streets. That does not track at all. And then last but not least, watched Josie and the Pussycats for the first time in many years. I've mentioned that on the Slack. I'm very much in love with this movie. It's only another one that it's only grown in reputation for me. I think it's fucking hilarious. It's really smart and really stupid at the same time. I don't know. It's tough to talk about. It's a satire. It's not incredibly brilliant or anything. It's not making a huge point necessarily, but it does sort of like comment on consumerism. And one of the weird things about it is that when it came out, and I watched some videos about this as well that sort of detailed this in depth, but the movie was like blasted by critics for having so much product placement, as if that's not like the whole thing this movie makes fun of the entire time. Like that's literally that is the point of this movie. It's like they have Target shit on, like Target logos on everything, or they have fucking Reebok shirts. It's like that scene from fucking Wayne's World where they're eating Pizza Hut and drinking Pepsi, except it's a whole movie of that, and it's like got a little bit more heart than that. It's less silly, which is, it's still plenty silly, so don't worry about that. I don't know. I thought that was really weird, and I think that it deserves another look. It's also got a fucking banging ass soundtrack with a lot of fucking good musicians that contributed some writing on there, including the dude who died recently. I believe it's the dude who died recently from Fountains of Wayne. Maybe I've got confused with somebody.
He did. No, somebody did die from that group.
Yeah, and maybe it's not even the same guy. I don't know. I need to get my shit together on that. But somebody from Fountains of Wayne. Letters to Cleo, the lady from Letters to Cleo is involved in some way. I can't remember them all, but there's a bunch of people that are involved in making this movie, and it's just fun. It's a fun, stupid movie, and I can't recommend it enough. So there you go.
Right on. Juice, what you been
Rigatoni.
Not a whole lot. I really think mostly I've just been watching that Grudge show. Which it's not even that long. I've still got like one more episode to go, I think. And it's only 6 episodes and they're only about 30 minutes long. It's fucked up though. I will say it's, old Japan, man. They'll show you some fucked up shit. They don't care. But it's kind of like, it's like a haunted house. So, it kind of reminds me of, that first season of the show that they do something different every American Horror Story. God, I could not.
They have the cast
and the music
where the souls are kind of like trapped in the house, and then they become like new things and like pull in new people, and then they kind of get trapped there. So it kind of reminds me of, and it's set over like. It's a little confusing because it's set over a large period of time. Sometimes it's in the 80s, sometimes it's in the 90s. So sometimes it's kind of hard to tell exactly where they are or who's involved at what point. But it's good though. It's brutal horror, I will say that. And it's a good little like haunting show if you're into haunted houses from Japan. So I'll be doing a mini episode on that as soon as I finish it, so very soon. But yeah, that's about all I've been watching.
Is it just one season right now? It's just the one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mom,
yo,
we are semi-interested in what you've been watching lately, so why don't you tell us about it?
Great.
Rigatoni.
I watched a movie called Palm Springs. It's on Hulu. It's a new release. It's like a romantic comedy. It's basically similar to Groundhog's Day. It's got Andy Samberg in it and Kristen Milioti, I think is how you say her name. J.K. Simmons also has a part in it.
Whoa.
Have you guys seen this? Have you heard about this?
I think I saw a review saying like it's better than Groundhog's Day. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. But that's it.
It's called Palm Springs.
I've seen it advertised.
Yeah.
That must be what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, it's got some decent hype. Hulu bought it for like a shitload of money. It's good though. It's pretty funny. It leans into like the science fiction stuff more than like Groundhog's Day was. Like in Groundhog's Day, you're not totally sure like why this shit is repeating. They get into that a little bit more in this movie. But it's super goofy. If you've seen Andy Samberg comedies before, it's very much that tone. But it does get serious in certain parts. I enjoyed it quite a bit, actually, as far as like a Hulu original goes. It's one of the better ones I've seen. Not really horror related. There's like a little bit of fucked up stuff in it, but it's not really a horror movie at all. I would recommend it though if you're a fan of Groundhog's Day for sure. The only other thing I wanted to mention is I watched a movie called Relic that just came out. It's a horror movie. It's sort of like a low budget deal. It's kind of dealing with dementia. So like this older woman she just vanishes, basically, is how the movie starts. She's suffering from dementia. She vanishes. Her daughter and her granddaughter show up to her house, and they're sort of looking for her, trying to figure out where she went. She shows back up, and they're very excited about that, and they're just sort of looking after her as she's struggling with dementia. And as she's working through that, a bunch of like spooky stuff happens throughout the house, and it becomes kind of like existential, and towards the end of the movie, it gets pretty wild and pretty metaphorical in what it's showing you. And it's interesting and well made. But I think based on like the reviews I've seen of it out there and my own personal opinion of it, I do not like it nearly as much as everybody else seems to have enjoyed it. It's not a bad movie, but it's just sort of middle of the road at best to me. I don't know. I'd be curious if you're out there listening, if you'd seen Relic, how you feel about it. Weigh in, holler at me, let me know if I missed something here. But I think it's just fine. It seems to be somewhat overrated, but also we're sort of in the middle of the year, and we're still dealing with COVID, and we're not getting a whole lot of new horror movie releases. So maybe people are just sort of like so excited to finally get like a new horror movie that they're super stoked about it, which would be understandable, but it's fine. Relic, I would give it a light recommend personally. It's aight. That's what I've been watching though.
Rigatoni.
I had heard nothing you said because I've been thinking about Rigatoni that whole time.
Thank you so much for paying attention. It means
I told you it might
I am
be
so sorry,
Bob.
but I'm not.
Oh, you guys are the worst. God, I gotta get better co-hosts.
You know what you need?
You guys are
Rigatoni.
fired. I do need some rigatoni. I always need rigatoni.
Bob, the fans would riot if you fire me.
Oh my God. Let's finish this
Why
episode.
would you say Rigatoni?
We got.
Oh my God. Listen to this woman.
Rigatoni.
It was a simpler time.
Oh my God, it was very simple, that's for sure.
Rigatoni? How much denim was she wearing? It was a lot, right?
It was a vest of denim. A denim vest, which is not something no, I'm sorry, it wasn't denim. It was definitely a Goodwill vest, though. It's something you could not find outside of a Goodwill today.
Rigatoni?
Period.
Rigatoni? All right. Yeah, we got one more segment to get to. We got to get into our Hotline Scream. If you are listening and you'd like to call and leave us a voicemail to be played on next week's show, you can hit us up at 904-638-3231. We got 2 voicemails this week, both from Steven. We haven't heard from Steven in a while. Steven, whom you may recall, supplied us with the fantastic bump for How to Save a Life, which is...
Best bump we've ever had. Best segment we've ever had.
Retired segment. Yes. Best shit. Yes.
Best shit.
But yeah, let's go ahead and hear what Steven has to say.
All right. Part 1.
What up, guys? It's Shaboy. How to Save a Life, Steve. I thought that impression was pretty good. But I'll leave it up to you to decide. So, sorry, Stains. Very quickly, I'm listening to the Hunt episode, and I haven't gotten to your review yet, but before what I'm sure is going to be you guys just ripping it to shreds and tearing it apart and hating on every part of it, I just wanted to call in and quickly defend pieces of it, if not the whole thing, just little parts. So I put this movie on, and within 5 minutes, I was texting 2 of my friends. I'm saying, you guys have to come over and watch this with me because it's fucking hysterical, and I'm laughing so hard, and I'm already in love with this movie. Now, forget about what happens later and what the plot twist ends up being, but the very beginning of this movie, I found very enjoyable. Specifically, like the first, when they all come to the open field, and they're kind of figuring out what's going on, and they all just start getting picked off, like the one rifle shot blows by that blonde chick's head that they set up as going to be the main character because they keep zoom in on her face, and then they zoom in on the classical handsome guy, who, I know how to use this gun. Here you go, babe. And I think, okay, here we go. Here's our two main characters. And then she says, holy shit, that almost hit me. And then a split second later, her head just fucking explodes as she takes a round straight to the skull. And man, that one chick falls in the trap or whatever, and she's sitting there with a spike in her chest, like Mortal Kombat, and like she's missing her her lower torso. And she's like, my birthday is tomorrow. This is great stuff. The one guy, he gets shot with the arrow or whatever, and then they're zooming in on his face, and then all of a sudden into the frame rolls a grenade, and he's like, oh my God, and it doesn't go off, and you hear you just see him be relieved. He's like, oh my God, and then off screen you hear, you're supposed to pull the pin, idiot, and then another grenade rolls in, and he's like, oh shit, he fucking explodes. This is fantastic stuff. I love the opening of this movie. I think there's so many smart little jokes and little jabs, like when Gary the podcaster was on the train and he's talking to the refugees, and he's like, I don't believe you, and we're kind of on the refugee side saying, okay, this guy Gary's just nuts. And then the one refugee is like, Gary, shut up, you're right, okay, it wasn't supposed to go like this. And it turns out that Gary's right, but nobody's going to believe him. That's amazing. I think I just love stupid jokes like that. As far as the political stuff, I've always been a Republican. Lately, I've kind of been leaning a little more Democrat.
Uh-oh, we'll never know what he's been leaning.
A little more Demoglace.
Where does he lean?
All right, let's go to part 2 and find out if there's more.
Hey, so I guess I should stop opening my voicemails with a quick call or a quick thought, because I guess they're not that quick, seeming as I keep getting cut off. But I will wrap up. So I think it's important that we are able to laugh at ourselves, and I think this movie kind of accomplishes that. Like I said, I've my entire life been a Republican. Lately, I've been leaning Democratic more because I think we're destroying our planet, and nobody seems to give a shit. But I think it's important that we can look at everything and everyone can laugh at themselves. And I think this movie kind of accomplishes that. Yeah, it gets a little bit meta with the internet trolls. Yeah, the self-fulfilling prophecy of, it was Mattergate, it didn't exist, but it became real because you idiots, behind keyboards said it was real. I get their point. This is not a movie I'm going to throw on 100 times, but I think it's definitely worth a watch, especially if you and your friends are into those funny kind of kills. And like I said, the little jabs and the jokes I thought were pretty well done. So, okay, that's all. Sorry for the voicemail and a half. Next time I will try and make it short. All right. See you guys.
And there's one more, and here it is.
Rigatoonie.
There we go.
Oh my God.
So yeah, that's I told that was part of what I had to say about that movie, if I recall right, is that intro where you had multiple pretenders to the throne of being the main characters get killed off in sequence like that. Mm-hmm. I did find that kind of funny. I thought that was fairly clever. It's at Justin's point, as last time when we talked about it, it was not necessarily effective in movie making, but it was effective joke making, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. They handled the humor pretty well, I thought. And, a lot of the visual gags play really well in that movie, specifically in the opening, like he was talking about. They land. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was 2 episodes ago. I've wiped it from my brain.
Oh,
remember lines whatsoever.
Oh, yeah. That's convenient. Just dodging bullets over there, I see.
Yeah.
It doesn't warrant that much space in my brain, so I just wiped it clean.
Oh, Steven, assuming we're just going to shit all over it. He was mostly right.
But he wasn't totally wrong about
that.
Not
all right, but mostly right, yeah. Well, thanks for calling in, man. It's always good to hear from you. And
where are the kinks?
Oh, shit. There's one more I got to play.
Where did Bob go wrong? Were he and his friends sifting way too long through those Blu-ray bins? And it gets worse, he'll have no jet ski, wasting all his dough on those DVDs.
That's my kink right there.
I think we're all hard right now. It never gets old.
Oh, yeah.
It never gets old.
Hard as dried rigatoonie.
Oh, my God. Oh man, I just want some pasta.
It's so
now.
dry.
So dry. Just how Mama used to make it. Just the driest rigatoni ever. It's so good.
Yum.
Yeah, thanks for calling in, Steven. If you want to make us any more bumps, feel free to do so, because that last one was a certified banger for sure.
Yeah, that's still my favorite bump, I think.
And again, if you guys are listening, want to call and leave us a voicemail, tell us about your kinks, what you're into, be it rigatoni or getting murdered by beds or, tree demons, hit us up. Call us at 904.
Would you bang it out in the deathbed, the bed that eats? Would you do it?
I mean, you're really rolling the dice. But
if you're a deathbed, would you rather eat an
If you're a deathbed, would you rather eat what, Randy?
Would you rather eat an orgy or some
rigatoni?
Oh God, it's the same joke.
It was not worth repeating, but here we are.
The same.
Somebody couldn't be bothered to get good internet.
Whatever. Yeah, call in, let us know at 904-638-3231. That's going to do it this week here at Straight Chilling. We're going to be back with a brand new show next week. We're going to be talking about the winner of the July poll pick, which was Anaconda from 1997. Get ready. Get ready. This movie's wild.
You guys going camping?
It's one of the best bumps. It's one of the best.
Yep.
Yeah, slam your eyeballs into Anaconda. Get ready for next week. Until then, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter at STR8_chilling, on Instagram at Straight Chilling Podcast. You can drop us an email through our website, straightchillingpodcast.com. If you want to join in on the daily conversations over on our Slack channel, just let me know on one of those social media outlets, and I'll send you a link so you can join in on the Slack channel conversations. Hit us up on the YouTubes and Patreon as well. That's all we got. Until next week, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.